We are considering when we talk about tenses, we are looking at verbs that describe when an event, action, or condition has occurred. In English language, we have present and past tense, which give rise to other forms like present continuous or past continuous. In grammar, sequence of tenses is a rule of a particular language that governs the relationship between the grammatical tenses of verbs in related clauses or sentences to show the temporal relationship of the event to which they refer. And so whenever you have more than a clause, you should mark tense. Strict adherence of tense over them. Thus, sequence of tenses is the principle according to which the tense of the verb in one clause is situated to the tense form of the other verb in another clause. So the tense form in one clause will determine the tense form that will be used in another clause. So we simply refer to sequence of tenses as rules that govern usage of tenses. There are different or several rules governing the way we use tenses, and these are mostly observed in compound sentences, complex sentences, reported speech, and then conditional clauses. We would like to look at how tense is observed in each of the forms that I've mentioned. Now, first, when all the verbs in a sentence describe actions or state that occur at or about the same time, their tenses should be the same. So the sameness of actions at the same time will have the same tense form. So you look at example A, we have whenever the alarm clock rings, I yawn, stretch, and roll over for another 15 minutes of sleep. Now, if you look at the verbs that have been underlined here, we have rings, we have yawn, we have stretch, and we have roll. These are things that are activities that happen at the same time. And so because of the sameness of the event, we expect that the present form will be used here or the past form will be used here. So if you look at the second one, the actress opened her arms to the audience, smiled and bowed deeply. Here we have past tense, and so we have the sameness of the form, tense form in all the sentences or in all the structure. 2. Since the clauses in compound sentences are independent, the tense of the verbs may be independent of each other. So in the past, most Ghanaians wanted big houses, but now many build small houses. So if you look at in the past, most Ghanaians wanted big houses. That is one part of the compound sentence. This is a one clause, and then now many build small houses and they are joined together by the coordinating conjunction. But if you look at the first part of the compound sentence, it expresses an idea or something in the past, but the second part expresses a present situation that gone with the days when Ghanaians wanted big houses. The current situation is that many will prefer small houses to big houses. If there is a past tense in the main clause, it must be followed by a past tense in the subordinate clause. So Kofi succeeded because he worked hard. Kofi succeeded is the main clause, and then because he worked hard is the subordinate clause. Now, because of the tense form past tense that has been used in the main clause, the subordinating clause should also take a If there is a present or future tense in the main clause, it can be followed by any tense whatever in the dependent clause. So in the earlier one, the main clause is past, the second one will be past. In this one, if the main clause has present or futuristic aspects, any form can be added to it. So I know that he dances at church. I know is the main clause. That he dances at church is the subordinating clause now, or the dependent clause. If you look at the dependent clause, you see that dances is in the present tense, and then the first one is also in the present tense. But when you consider B, I shall know that he has been dancing at church. I shall know is in the futuristic aspect, shall and know, and then that he has been dancing at church is the subordinating aspect of the structure, presenting us with the present perfective continuous. So has been dancing. When we use the future tense in the main clause, we do not use future tense in the subordinating clause. So unlike the past we saw earlier on, here if you have the futuristic aspect or the future form, you cannot add another future to it. I will call you when dinner is ready. So I will call is the main verb, which is in the futuristic aspect, and then dinner is ready. We cannot say dinner will be ready. No, we say dinner is ready. So this one is in the present tense. I shall wait until you return. The shall wait is in the future form, futuristic aspect, and then return is in the main verb that has been used in the subordinating structure. With the past tense in the main clause can be followed by present simple in the dependent clause to express some universal or habitual fact. So these are exceptions that we want to treat. Whereas we can have past, or we can have present and then past. Here we expect there are exceptions. Not always that you can have past and past. One of them is that when you have something that happens all the time, or something that is universal, that is a scientific truth that can be verified, you have to breach the rule. So you can have the peoples were taught that the earth moves around the sun. The peoples were taught is in the past tense, and then moves is in the present tense, because the earth has not stopped moving around the sun. When the dependent clause is introduced by conjunction of purpose, the following two rules are observed. A. If the verb in the main clause is in the present future tense, the verb in the dependent clause must be expressed by may. So if we have future, we have may for the exceptions. We eat that we may live. So eat is in the present, and then may is also in the present, which has been added to the live over there. Another exception is that if the verb in the main clause is in the past tense, the verb in the dependent clause must be expressed by might. So the first one was present, the second one is past. So he tried to live so that he might have a chance at life. Tried is in the past tense, and then might is also. Now, when you have the use of least, it should always go with should. So regardless of the tense of the verb in the main clause, so he reads, least he should pass the exams. So reads is in the present, least like the present tense we saw, it doesn't happen here like that. So should be added. Now this can be rendered in another form, giving us B. He reads so that he may pass the exams. Now you look at this I, we have his reading, least he should pass the exams. So his reading is in the present continuous form, and then we have added the should to it because of the least. When the dependent clause is introduced by a conjunction of comparison, any tense can be followed by any tense. So he helps you more than he helped me. So the comparison comes when you have more than. Now if you look at the first part of the structure, we have helps, which is the present tense. But because the comparison, after the comparison, you have helped, which is in the past tense, and this one is helping us to be able to use any tense form after the comparison. Now if you look at B, you have he helps you more than he helps me. So we have present. Perhaps the activities or the helping takes place at the same. Now when some phrases such as if only, wish that, and what if, and it is time are used, we expect that the past form will be used in addition to this expression. So I wish I could eat another ice cream. Wish is in the present tense, but because of the nature of it, the next verb that will be used in the other structure will be in the past. So we have could, which is in the past. We can have another example like it is high time students disciplined themselves. It is high time, present. Then we have discipline, which if the subordinate clause is an adjective, the verb used therein may be in any tense according to the sense implied. So the adjective helps us to describe the entity, another entity. So if you look at this one, we have she met a boy who worked hard. She met a boy who worked hard is adjectival clause. It is explaining, or it is helping us to know the kind of boy he met. Here it is a boy who worked hard. It's the activity has taken place already, but because of the nature of the adjectival clause, or because of what adjectival clauses do, we are allowed to use any tense form. If you look at B, he met a boy who will work hard. So maybe this boy is yet to be given any task, and then by looking at the boy, he thinks he will be able to work hard. So we have met, which is in the past tense, and then will work, which is in the future. If the subordinate clause is an adverb clause expressing reason or place, the verb in the subordinate clause may be in any tense. So the first one, the adjectival, may be in any sense. The adverb will also be in any form. So adverbial clause will also help us to add more, if you like, definition or explanation to what we are talking about. If you look at we have a palace stood, where you find the market now. Stood is in the past tense. Where you find the market now is our adverbial clause of place. If you look at the second one, did not go, where he goes daily. Did not go is in the past tense. Where he goes daily is the adverbial clause explaining where he has been going. And in that structure, we have the use of the present tense. Now, when it comes to reported speech, different forms are realized. The tense in the reporting clause will affect the tense of the verb in the reported statement, as expected in sequence of tenses, and that's what we refer to as the Backshift principle. If the verb of the reporting clause is present, the tense of the verb in the reported statement remains unchanged. So the reporting clause is the gentleman mentions. Mentions is in the present tense. I keep the keys. Keep is in the present tense. Now, if you are changing it, you have the gentleman mentions that he keeps the keys. So present. Now, when the verb of the reporting statement is past, the following is observed. If the reported statement is present, it changes to the past. So Jennifer told me, that is the reporting statement, told. I visit the old woman often. Visit is in the present tense. Now we are changing it. Jennifer told me that she visited the old woman often. The told is influencing the use of the visited, which is also. If the verb in the reported statement is past, then it remains in the past, or it changes to the past perfect. Now the first one we saw, it was past present. Now here it is past past. So let's see how it will become. It can either change to past past, or it can change to past perfecting. The cashier insisted. I paid the carpenter yesterday. Insisted is in the past. Paid is in the past. The cashier insisted he paid the carpenter yesterday. Paid. Past. The cashier insisted he had paid the carpenter yesterday. Insisted is in the past. Had paid is in the. When the verb in the reported statement is present perfect, then the verb becomes past perfect. Mark indicated she has mopped. Indicated is in the past. Has mopped. Present perfect. Now we change it to Mark indicated that she had mopped the floor. Indicated is in the past. Had mopped, which was in the present perfective aspect, has now changed to become past perfect. Present perfect continuous will change to past perfect continuous. My mother told the doctor he has been coughing since yesterday. Told is in the past. Now has been coughing is in the present perfect continuous. Present is the has, been is the perfective, continuous is the coughing. Now we are reporting it. It gives us, my mother told the doctor that he had been coughing. So has changed to past, being in the perfective, and then continuous. So present perfect continuous will change to past. The present continuous changes to the past continuous. Abigail replied, Kofi is sweeping. So replied is in the past. Is sweeping is the present continuous. Present is sweeping continuous. Abigail replied that Kofi was sweeping. So here the is has changed to was, past, sweeping. Future changes to conditional. Kwame stated, I will clean the plates. So will clean is in the present form, where future continuous, future form, and then we are changing it. It's in the present. We are changing it to the conditional. Kwame insisted that he would. So the would is giving us the conditional form. The future perfective will change to conditional perfective. He mourned, I have left for Accra by then. I will have left for Accra by then. He mourned that he would have left for Accra by then. So the will has changed to the would, and then the have is the perfective. The left, have left is the perfective, and then have left will give us another perfective. So what changes is the first one, will to would, giving. Now when it comes to conditional clauses, we also expect the correct use of tense form. Conditional clauses come in 4 forms. We have the type 1, type 2, type 3, and what people refer to as a zero conditional clause. Now, type 1 presents something which is possible to happen now or in the near future, and so we say the situation is real. In terms of the tenses, we have the simple present and then the futuristic aspect. So if you don't leave, I will call the dogs. If you don't leave is negated, don't, but it's in the present form. Then we'll call the dog is in the futuristic aspect. What it means is that the dogs will be called once you decide not to leave, and so it is possible for us to have the dogs, because if you don't leave, that will be the result. The other one, if you pass the exams if you study hard. So the result of studying hard is passing the exams. Once the studying has been done, by the grace of God, we expect that you will pass the exams. And this one is type 1, real situation. The type 2 shows a hypothetical situation. It could happen, but it is not possible. In terms of the tense, we have the simple past word plus the base form of the verb. So we have, if I were a fish, I would be at the bottom of the sea. The subordinating clause giving us the situation that if you were, he would be. But the point is that you are not a fish, so you cannot be at the bottom of the sea. So we say that this one is condition or its result realized. The type 3 presents something that is very hypothetical, and we say that it is now too late for the condition or its result to be realized. So we have the past perfect and the past perfect for both forms. So if I had known it was your birthday, I would have great tilapia and jollof for you. Had known is perfect, past perfect, and then would have great is also past perfect. The point is that there was no grilling of tilapia and there was no cooking of jollof because the person didn't know it was your. The type 4 presents real facts or scientific truth which are verifiable or happen every day. So in terms of the tense, we have present. Now what it means is that here you can do it yourself, or you can go and find out whether what the assertion is false or the claim can be verified. So we have, if you heat ice, it melts. The point is that once you attach heat to ice, it will melt, and so this is something that you can find or you can do it for yourself. And so we have the present, heat, and then melt, which is also in the present. So to sum up, what we want to say is that structures that have 2 clauses require sequencing in tenses. When you are able to arrange these tenses very well, it helps us to communicate the time of events and then the intention of the speaker or the writer to the listener or the reader, helping us achieve effective communication. Thank you.